Live.
Yeah, tell the Discord. I will tweet.
We are live, babies.
I'm just admiring the cover.
It's beautiful.
It
And
is.
if you haven't noticed, Tiana's on the cover.
Yes, I'm literally on the cover, guys.
Literally.
It's so funny because I kept switching my fan cast. I was either imagining Tiana or the girl from WandaVision. The actress for
Yes.
Hi, Yolanda.
Oh my god. She's amazing. And if you all have not been watching WandaVision,
I'm catching up in the summer. So like I'm gonna literally be binging in the summer.
Tiana.
Yes.
It finishes next week. So after next week you can just
I promise.
I love that we're only like 5 seconds in and we're already off track.
Right.
It's okay. Just let people, come in first. Oh, Shell's here. Hi.
Oh, just so we're all clear, I will probably lose my voice at the end of this live show because of the alcohol, but it's fine.
You do your thing, girl.
Oh, everybody, what are we drinking? I'm drinking a Cabernet.
I'm drinking basic bitch 40-year-old rosé from Moscato.
I had Bailey's, but I'm already red and I shouldn't drink anymore.
I'm sober this evening, so shout out to anybody who is hydrating as opposed to dehydrating.
Chanel, me too. I literally finished like 10 minutes ago. All right, so if you are here, we're going to do a non-spoiler section of Legendborn. Welcome to our second live show. Are we going to do announcements first? You're going to do that later on to the live show.
We'll do announcements at the end of non-spoiler section before we get into spoilers. So
let's start in alphabetical order of what thoughts we had before getting into the book, before we get into the nitty-gritty.
Like wait, what?
Yeah.
Process.
So like before we started reading?
Yeah.
Thoughts before I read the book, like what I
assumptions going in.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I honestly had no idea what this was gonna be about. At first, I thought it was gonna be about like witches. Because I heard someone say like, oh, this is like Black Girl Magic with witches. And I was like, oh, that sounds so cool. So I picked it up. And then I went into it and was not expecting whatever was going on in this book. So I still enjoyed it though.
All right.
Yeah. I love to go into books like not knowing much. So but it was comped to me as like Black Buffy. And then like I did then hear about like the King Arthur stuff, and it was like kind of based on like King Arthur legends. And I was like, oh, that's really interesting because I haven't really read much, if any, YA that was like inspired by like Arthurian legend. So I was like just intrigued, and that's like all I knew. So and then going in, yeah. Yeah, and I will have to say there is a lot of hype around this book. And I think it lived up to it. So
it did.
All right, Matthew?
I knew I would like it. Like I generally will like any YA fantasy that I read. I just will. I like that stuff. But I was not. I didn't know anything about the plot. I didn't know anything else going in. It was just kind of like that vague genre assumption. Right. And I ended up falling in love with it so much. I did not only enjoy it, I was invested, and we can talk about that later.
Gotcha.
But yeah, I felt positive and it delivered. So
got it. So one of my favorite things, as Blake said, of going into a new fantasy world or a new urban fantasy is to know as little as possible. And on our last live show, I looked at the word Merlin and I was like, oh, wait, this is an Arthurian retelling. Oh, I binge watch Merlin on my couch for a solid week straight. Okay. I was that type of gal. So going into it, I was like, you know what? I see the Guinevere thing. I see this going in. I'm ready. What's good? What's popping, sis? So I liked it. We loved it. We're here for it. And I'm on the cover. Okay. If you don't know that I'm on the cover, it's me, bitch. Like, so yeah. And we're gonna go another round of non-spoiler stuff of what we enjoyed, but non-spoiler a little bit, like characters, themes, the Black experience. So yeah, Ace.
Okay, wait. I just added Merlin on my watch list so I can watch it after this. But what I enjoyed was how complicated the magic system was. Honestly, even though I was confused most of the time, like learning about it and how woven it is in like actual history is like really interesting. And I think Brie as a character, just in general, had such good like character development throughout the book. So that's it for not spoilery because I have too much spoilery thoughts.
Yeah. I have to say that I just like it was really refreshing. Number one, this isn't really a spoiler because it happens like immediately,
Right.
but that the characters were very cautious about the magical society. Because I feel like in every single book that I've read, it's like there are people with magic, and the main characters are like, "Ooh," and then the magic people are like, "Oh, let's tell you all of our secrets." And so it was like really refreshing to have like a character be like kind of wary of that. And I really like that. Also, yeah, the magic system or like the world and the lore was like a little complicated, but I really loved how like just as like Bree didn't know a lot, we as the audience also didn't know a lot. And so I think that like really put us in like her position where like some of the stuff might not make sense now, even after finishing the first book, but then like as we get to know the world more in like books 2, books 3, then like coming back to this book, I think would like make a reread even better. And so I love that like she layered the world like that, where we can come back and find new things.
We're getting 3 books? I did not know this.
I don't know. I'm just guessing.
Okay.
I know there's gonna be a book 2. I hope there's gonna be a book 3 and like maybe more. Who knows?
Like prequels? I wouldn't mind prequels.
That. I would mind like looking into that. Matthew.
I loved that this book was even more so than like the fun fantasy world and the magic system and the characters who I thought had great dynamics. This was like a really lovely story about grief and healing. And to have that extra layer woven into the text so complexly, so with nuance, was just so delightful. And I feel like so many of the actions that Bree took throughout the story were connected with her grief that is presented at the beginning of the book. So not spoilery. I think that the development of her as a character had that woven into it at every facet. It wasn't just a launching point. It was the plot, as much as any other aspect of this book had a plot. So that was probably what I was drawn to most about it.
Right.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with that because I feel like a lot. I was thinking about this, that like a lot of the times in like YA books, it's like you get the dead parents at the beginning, and then it's like you forget about them.
Yeah.
And it's like it doesn't affect the characters during the rest of the plot. But like Bree never stopped thinking about that, and I loved it.
It was so realistic.
Yes. I think this book, I read Amari and the Night Brothers, and it's a middle grade. And for reasons, because it had to be, it was kind of tone deaf on the Black experience and living in the South. And this book, I was like, oh my God, I know what UNC looks like. Oh my goodness, the accent is superb. I'm still mad at the Bojangles reference because I'm a Zaxby stan through and through. Tracy, we'll talk about it later. I did like, so I will never understand right now, my 20s, what losing a parent feels like, but watching and seeing Brie have this good character arc of accepting that, like, I did not lose her. Like, her love is still with me and, like, things of that nature. I liked the dad.
So much.
I said this in the Discord, where I liked how he didn't say, let's get the Bible, let's talk to a pastor. He said, no, let's go to therapy. Whereas he did force her, yes, his immediate response wasn't to talk to a pastor, use the Bible, and help her heal her trauma, because Jesus cures all. Believe what you want to believe. But no, I don't think forcing a religion to help you heal your trauma is not probably the best way to go, especially in this scenario when we have magic creatures and witchy voodoo people. Like, we need some symbionts of realism to center us and focus us.
Yeah.
I like want to just chime in and talk about how much I loved the father character as well.
Yes.
I think while perhaps some of the scenes were a bit clumsy when he and Bree were communicating just on a technical level, I loved how they shared this language together, and Tracy Deonn took the time to point out that they had a shared language together. And I think that really just added this immense amount of groundwork to their relationship so that we as readers felt a connection.
Mhm.
And that, to Blake's point, like, our parents weren't killed off. And I feel like that has to happen with a lot of YA. Like, you have to have the parents non-existent so that the kids can go adventuring. Like, that's just the nature of the genre. But like, I like that we were given enough so that it was so fully fleshed. And through language, which is just always like a nice little like personal thing that I enjoy.
Right. And still not on Floyd's part, what do we think about Cell and Nick?
I think that's gonna be like kind of.
I feel like that's spoilery.
Yeah. Are we gonna just jump into spoilers then?
Do we want to? Are we ready?
Well, hold on. First, we have some announcements. So if you guys didn't know, our March book is The Harpy, and we will be discussing this. And she's thin, so don't worry, you can get through it.
If Tiana still doesn't read this on time.
It's going to be...
Tiana, you have no excuse. It's like less than 300 pages.
It's not even 200 pages. It's not even 200. But yes, we also will be in the future be looking like into trigger warnings and things like that, and posting that in the Discord and on the Twitter. So you guys will get kind of like a good idea. And if you know people who have read books like the books that we've announced, and you know a list of triggers, please let us know, because we haven't read the books yet, so we don't necessarily know everything in them. But yes, we will be trying to include that going forward. So yeah, The Harpy is our next book. And then in April, The Harpy will be hosted on Matthew's channel. And in April, we will have The Death of Vivek OG, which will be hosted on Ace's channel. Sorry, I'm trying to point. And then we are now going to announce the May book, which will be hosted on my channel.
Wait, I have the book.
Oh, you have the book? Okay, Ace
Yeah.
has the book. Okay. Hold on, I need to...
If I can just get it out.
Okay, hold on. We will wait for Ace. We will wait for Ace.
While we're waiting, I'll just vamp and
In my
say
bookshelf.
I do love that we haven't read these books together. Like, I think it's fun that we're all going into this not knowing whether or not what we're talking about is good. So, like, thank you to everyone who reads along with us, because we don't know and you don't know. So thank you for that.
Putting up with my like crackhead energy, because I just like live tweet my reactions and I'd be like, I'm so sorry.
Honestly.
So I put it out. I'm so red.
The May book is going to be, drum roll please, in the chat.
God damn.
The Wolf of Orinyaro by
Yeah.
K.S. Villoso. This is book 1 in the Chronicles of the Bitch Queen trilogy.
Here,
And the third and final book also comes out in May. So if you want to binge the trilogy, you totally can. And we're very excited to read this book. And we will be having our June, July, and August announcement coming by the time we have our March live show. So by the end of March, you will know our whole schedule all the way through August. And
The cover is so badass.
I'm so excited. I'm so excited.
But yeah, very excited. A lot of exciting announcements.
Tiana, take us there. Non-spoilers, let's go.
Spoilers.
Let's go, baby. I'm gonna work in parts because that's how I like get books in my head. So in part 1, we have Bree, and she's just found out that her mom has passed away. And to like little inside of what I was doing at that time, I was watching Julie and the Phantoms at this time. So I was like, oh, it was grief upon grief upon grief in my head. So I was like hit with like emotion after emotion. And I really liked how Tracy Deonn really like not sat down per se, but she was using this book, I think, to help her with the loss of her mom, because the way that she was using this part 1 to like introduce Bree, I was like, oh my gosh, she's putting a little piece of her soul into Bree and like giving this character to be honest. And we have this night in the quarry, and what did we all think during this night in the quarry? Like, did we think that we knew Bree was going to have powers? Like, what did we all think at this scene right here?
Okay, like I knew that she was, you know, the not like other girls because like she could see magic, but like that honestly to the extent that I thought it was gonna go. I did not know she was gonna go full magic, which is awesome. I mean, hello, the cover. I should have been like, I should have known. But that first night, I was like, okay, we got some demon hunters. I was shocked at like again reiterating how like sinister like Cell and Tor and like them all seemed like during that night, like with the forceful, the mesmering, and I'm gonna be real with y'all. I fucking hated Cell for the first half of this book.
I think you're supposed to. Like,
I just did not give a fuck about his character. I'm not gonna lie.
Like I know, but I just did like I was like I thought he was racist.
That's fair.
I just didn't like him. I was like done with him, and every time he showed up, I was like, please go away. But that's a whole nother topic. But yeah, the Night of the Quarry was great. Also, perfect setup for the final page payoff, and I loved it.
Yes, 100%. We have this comment from Evan or Ethan. I think it was Ethan, and he was like, "Nice hair," and I was like, "Sir, zip it, lock it in your pocket."
Did I miss something?
Oh, Max in the chat said that Cell he thought that it was going to be the brooding interest, and yes, as soon as he showed up on screen, I was like, he's going to be another Darkling. I don't want this.
No. I said, you know what? I know a Bicon when I see one.
I mean, I feel like I sensed redemption arc. I don't know if I sensed love interest. And I feel like the development of this quote unquote love triangle in this book was set up in a very fresh way, unlike other books in this genre. I loved the Night at the Quarry scene. I think, you know, it's a fun opener just to have like that first night at college, like moment that everyone's kind of lived through. I also think it really did a good job of exploring the age dynamics between Bree and everyone else, the discomfort or comfort, the wanting to feel grown up, the wanting to dive in literally. I thought that was all really, really good setup for the book.
Yes, I don't know how I feel about the age in this book because
the age was kind of uncomfortable for me.
Right, but then when I'm going to Google and it said that Cell was 17.
I thought it said Cell was 18.
Yeah, I saw somewhere that it said he was 18. He's a
like
junior in college.
In the book, I think they said he was 18.
Yeah.
Well, kiss my boot because they lied to me.
Only Nick is 17.
Yeah, Nick was 17, but I think because I thought they said like he's like the youngest like King's Mage, and they said that he was 18.
Well,
pretty sure.
Can't trust Google now. Then we get to the end part where she just like berates Nick. How did we see? What are you gonna say, Matthew?
No, I mean, I thought it was charming. Like, you know, like you could see this clear setup. You could see this developing so well, and there was so much of the book left. It only had a positive place to go. Like, I think it felt very like 80s rom-com to me. It felt very like bad moment so that good moment could happen.
This is Nick and Bree, right? I was talking about Nick and Bree.
Yeah, I don't like them together. I'm sorry.
I do.
I'm sorry. I think someone in the Discord talked about this, how like there was suddenly that instant connection out of nowhere. Yeah. And then obviously it makes sense at the end of the book, but now it makes sense for me to not even ship them at all.
Are you ready to hear my hate crimes against Nick?
Huh?
You want to hear my hate crimes against Nick? Defense. He didn't care about Bree till no, here's the thing. She almost died, right? And then it wasn't like 48 hours later, he's like, oh my God, I was so worried about you. I'm like, we have phones. You know where I live. You have a car. Skirt, and see how I'm the good was. Like,
he showed up though, like at her like apartment and was like pestering, and then like wouldn't stop calling and texting her to make sure she was okay. She was the one who was ghosting him. I
mean, I don't know. It's just because like he's just bothering her too much. He needs to like leave her alone.
Well, I was so mad at Bree. She was like, I'm over here worried about a text back. I said, we're better than this, honey. Okay. No.
Yeah, I was low-key mad that she was letting a white man get to her.
Okay. I need there to be less white men in the next book because I feel like Nick and Cell and everybody and like I love the dynamic of Bree being like such an outsider from like the order and like like her race like only magnified that and like made her feel more other. But at the same time, I was like, I really like want there to be less white people because just like Bree, white people make me uncomfortable.
I think something that's really interesting is if we like talking about the magic system, right? Talking about this world that we have built. A lot of the magic is all the same. A lot of the magic is like structured the same way, works the same way. Everyone has it uniquely, but like the terminology for it, the way that it's used is dependent on culture and history. Yes. And so for Bree to step into a college campus life, which is pretty indicative of what that college campus probably experience would look like and feel like, to then be confronted with a magic system to try to, I feel like it all made sense. Unfortunately, made sense. And I think that's what made the scenes with therapy and all of that extra special. Yeah.
Oh, UNC is 60% white, 1% Indian Alaskan, 11% Asian, 8% Black, 8% Hispanic, 3% international, 2%, 5% two or other, and then 4% unknown. So checks out.
Yeah.
I really want her to like get more integrated into like the root society in book 2 because like that was so interesting to me and like I wanted more of that like because we only got like a little bit and I wanted
to like it.
Because she didn't have consent with that choice either. The thing that was so frustrating for Bree's narrative is that she never got to choose for herself what she could explore. Everyone kept trying to impose an identity on her.
Yes.
And the route was just as bad. Like it was, I mean, you know what I mean? It was just as forceful with its like wanting Bree to claim it as opposed to the other group.
Bad in like seeing enslaved people's trauma. I was like, oh, I didn't want to see that in my head, but I did. I remember when I was in 4th grade, someone called me a Demon for the first time. And my dad was back home from deployment, from 18 months. He made me, on my suspension, because I hit the kid that called me the N-word. He made me sit down and watch like the 16-hour saga of Roots. I don't know if you've seen it, but like I was watching people get, and I was like, I don't like this. I'm only 8 years. Take it back. So like,
I saw that in high school. They made us watch it.
Not cute. Nope. So we got to the physical abuse. I was like, oh no.
And it feels incredibly manipulative that the person that you've been entrusted to therapy with is the one who's showing you this.
Like it was like Patty. Patty can kiss my black butt for all I care. Like I genuinely could not care less. Like she just said, hey, I'm uncomfortable. You're opening up to me. I'm a dip.
Yeah. Like I liked her first, and then it was funny because I was like, "Oh, so you're not even gonna try like therapy? You're just gonna be like, hey, magic." It was there was no pretense of therapy at all. So she was like, oh, by the way, but I just think that like I kind of prefer the root magic over the aether magic because the aether magic feels like it's cool. But it feels like something I've seen a lot before. And I feel like all this stuff with roots and like the medium and like her ancestors like coming inside of her and like talking to her, like that was really unique. And I really enjoyed that. And it seems like there's because like they didn't know like what Bree could do. And from what it seems like there's more like sects of root than there are of aether. Aether so tied to like the blood magic because like I think I forgot her name, but the other woman that Patty brought in, she was like a medium, but then there's like other different like designations of root, and so like I'm really interested to see what those are because we only got glimpses of some of what the order can do. We only got glimpses of what some of the root can do,
Right.
Like I'm just more interested in the root as of now.
Yeah, and then there's still the aspect of like it's taught differently for each family, and then we literally have no idea how Bree's mom does rootcraft, and so like I hope that we somehow get more of like Bree's lineage and how they do that magic system.
Right. All right. So now we're in a little bit to part 3, part 2, but let's like get back to part 2 a little bit. So when Bree manipulates Nick into like letting her be his page and then develop into a squire. How to explain this? Like what what was going through our heads of like, where's this going to go? What are we going to do? What's our objective? Because someone's going to backstab someone or hurt someone at the end of the day. So like, where did we see or not see this take us?
Go ahead, Ace. Go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say I honestly didn't trust Greer. I think that's the guy's name, and Witty at first because they said it's a tournament, so I was like, someone's gonna backstab someone.
Yeah.
And then like, wait, what? Okay, go ahead.
I was just gonna say my thing with the order is there was too many of them, like, and I like couldn't keep track of like who they were. Because there were names that came up, like, because skipping ahead a little bit, when Evan is like the demon, I was like, who is Evan again?
I just remember him from the quarry. That's it. Like, that's all I remember him for.
Yeah. Oh, he was the frat guy, right?
Yeah.
Charlotte's boyfriend.
Yeah.
And so I just feel like because there was such an emphasis on like Nick, Bree, and Cell, I feel like there wasn't an opportunity for us to really get to know and care about like the side characters. So like Witty and Greer, like they were like Bree's kind of main friends.
Yeah.
But they weren't really fleshed out a lot. And so like when like they kind of went through their emotional beats, I didn't really care as much because I was like, okay, let's get back to Nick, Bree, and Cell. You know what I mean?
Yeah, this is a good point. There's so many side characters. That was a big issue for me. It was hard to decide.
I like William though. I thought William was a
Dan William.
Best
William, aka Cinna from the Hunger Games. Just want to throw that out there. I really liked William, especially because his version of comfort is to insert humor and create an air of normalcy. And that's what I do when I try to comfort people. And I just found that to be very, very relatable content. He was such an endearing character.
My favorite part were his sticky notes. His little sticky notes. So
and then
wait, Tiana, you listen to that audiobook, but like they straight up like put sticky notes in the book.
That's cute.
Wait, I'm trying to find them. It was adorable. I loved it so much.
So much William love in the chat.
Okay, regarding the characters like being like background noise a little bit, I feel like it would have been better if they had like lodging for the order. I think it would have helped us have that more like, oh wait, it's an actual sticky note?
Yeah.
So cute. I think it would have helped us like build up who's in the order, who we know, like we needed a head count. And I didn't get a head count.
I'm curious as to whether or not that was actually necessary to tell this story. I mean, Bree didn't know these people any more than we did. I think based on the perspective, and because the rest of the text is so close to Bree, because we are discovering magic as she is, because we're discovering the depths of her friendships as she is, like I feel like it kind of makes sense for us also to not know these periphery characters, because ultimately they were only as necessary to the plot as they needed to be in specific moments.
True.
They didn't know Bree either. Like that reveal at the end, I'm not gonna go too deep yet since we're in part 2, but like it kind of told us even more that they all still just met each other and we're all still just meeting like these characters, and they can't even trust her as, you know, that reveal. And so that's why like I feel like maybe not knowing the side characters that well adds more to the story. And so I hope we do get to know them better in the second book, just so like that table is a lot more constructed and better explained.
Speaking of side characters, what were you gonna say, Blake?
Oh, I was just gonna say, I think that Tracy Deonn like did a really good job with it. It just like I personally like was getting a little lost because there were so many, and so like just me personally, I like almost kind of wanted a little bit more just so I could have them a little bit more cemented in my head, because they were just reading as like names and not people. So then it's like, yeah, going forward, because of what happens, I like really hope that we really get to know who they are, who their families are, what they can do, that kind of stuff.
But I also think having them be so nondescript really emphasized Bree and Nick's relationship, that in that scene where they have to like swear to each other, we got to see a sudden burst of high stakes. Like it was this revelation for Bree, like, oh, he has something to lose too. And I thought that that was a really nice development for them. And I think that not necessarily being as aware of everyone else lifted that even more so.
This, right?
We see that freaking whole wall thing.
Yeah, there's one in the back, but it's like half of it's like blank.
Probably for good reason.
Like, I'm like, what are all these question marks? Just tell me.
Now you're looking at the month edition. I don't think I have one.
Wait, I don't even recognize these names.
I have one.
Well, this is the bloodline.
Go watch it.
I'm not familiar with the King Arthur stuff, so this is really interesting to read.
Okay, my question. We all know I hate this one bitch. Y'all can take a lucky guess. Yes. Fuck that hoe, okay? I see no point. Like, she was only there to be our cheerleader.
I know who you're talking about.
Yeah.
Whereas I appreciated her. I was like, you're only here to help our hero have a reason to, like, not give herself over to the bad guys.
Yeah. Oh, sorry, Max. Yeah, it is just the traditional bloodlines in the back. We don't have the actual characters. So yeah, I hope in the next book we get like the current characters and who their bloodlines and stuff. But Tiana, as your like Ace Alice thing, so I hated Alice,
right?
But I feel like the end of the book like kind of not redeems her, because she did shitty things, but it's like they had such a like tight friendship for so long, and like I myself have had like friendships like that where like we were so intertwined for so long, and then like the falling out was like really, really bad, but then it was like we were able to then like reconcile in a way where it's almost like a new normal, where we have things that we can't share with each other, but like we still like cherish the fact that we are friends. And so I was able to kind of like see why Bree was clinging on to her, even though like in the beginning I was like, okay, cut her off, she sucks. But then like just having that kind of college experience and like dealing with a lot of things like that, I was able to kind of see Alice's side as well. And while she wasn't in the right, once she kind of got inducted into the fold, I think she kind of became the protective friend that Bree needed from the beginning.
Well, so, I think it's interesting too, because like we talked earlier in this conversation about how you have to kill the parents so that the main character can go off an adventure. Like that's the trope of the genre. Alice is the parent character.
Very true.
Like more so than the father is, more so than, you know, Bree's mother was. Alice is that standing character for us. So I do feel like it was very plot devicey and very much for us to understand like a pinpoint at which Bree is diverging. Right, like Alice stayed here so that Bree could go there, and then we as an audience could understand how radically different Bree's world was.
Right.
I feel like my
problem
so it was with like Alice is that I didn't get enough of her relationship with Bree.
Yeah.
I couldn't like understand like why Bree is clinging on so much to her, or like why like they would describe their friendship of how long they've been like friends and how close they are, but we never got to see that. So then I didn't really see the point in having Alice around. So I really hope like we could have at least gotten like one like scene of them like reminiscing or something, or at least actually having a heart-to-heart conversation, so then I could feel how Bree actually really feels more, because it just didn't like fall through to me.
Now for another hoe I don't like. Charlotte. Like you can't be you can't be the gal with the car. You can't be the mentor and then just like dip when the cops pull up. No, that's not how college works. Like if the popo pull up, we get in the car and we're gonna skirt out there. You're not gonna be like, oh, sorry, I had to say my hi. Not where's the
But that's also what people do. Like,
Yeah.
unfortunately, like, morally, I don't like it. Personally, I would not like it. But, like, that's also, it's very human. It's very realistic. And I also think it helped develop, like, Bree didn't have friends here. Like,
Right.
Bree didn't have allies. The person who was supposed to be her therapist was not her ally at the end of the day. The people
Right.
who were supposed to be, helping her, like, I think that's kind of a big point to make, even, is like, yeah, these characters are, like, not fun people, but, like, their purpose is served fully in the text.
Right.
Okay, but who's going to tell Charlotte that her boyfriend turned into a demon?
Yeah, she's just gonna
Hold on,
find out her boyfriend's actually dead.
Hold on, tell her. Not gonna be me.
Who's gonna tell her? Are they gonna mesmer her like, oh, you never dated this guy?
That's kind of hard though, because if they were doing the nasty, that's emotional ties, that's physical ties. You gotta erase all that shit.
Well, they said it was like you had to replace it with like something of equal weight. You
I have
know?
I have a theory.
Ooh.
What?
Charlotte's pregnant with a demon baby.
I don't think so.
That feels a little too one-sex pregnant to me. Like, I don't want that.
I don't know why I still feel so uncomfortable about like talking about this. I'm like, it's a whole adult like.
I'm gonna recommend you some books, and then we're gonna chat. I'm kidding. Okay, so part 2 is pretty long, so I can remember what really necessarily happened in part 2, but we start exploring Root, we start exploring the tournament, like we're advancing the tournament, and all of a sudden we take this pivotal shift of like, oh no, we're about to like experience Armageddon. I think it's Camlin. I don't know why it was Camlin. I was like, ooh, it's Camelot. Let's just say that. I don't know what that was.
I was somehow pronouncing it that way too. It's okay.
Okay, so then I think in book 2 we're gonna meet Morgan because we mentioned like the Morgans, something.
The line of
Morgan.
Yeah.
Give me some witch. Give me some evil witch.
Because they kept hinting it, and I was like, yes, give it to me. And then they didn't. And I was like, Tracy, give it to me.
Book two.
I was kind of scared that like it was gonna be revealed that like Bree's line is actually the line of Morgan.
Right.
Because I have no idea about the King Arthur stuff, so.
That's what I thought too. Also, something that has me a little confused about Camlin, and they didn't really quite explain it. Has this happened before? Because it almost seemed like a cyclical thing, but then at the same time, they were acting like it was the end of the world. So I was like, has this happened before? Because they did talk about it like Arthur has been called.
Yeah, that's what confuses me too. Because then they also said like if Arthur is called, then the bloodline is over. Like there is no more Legendborns. And so, but then someone said like, oh, Arthur hasn't been called for 200 years. So I was like, does that mean he's been called? Like I'm so confused.
I think. Oh, okay. So what they had said was that the revolutionary. Nope.
Yeah, it was during the Civil War, I think.
It was. No, it was during the Revolutionary War.
Yeah.
I don't know my wars.
1775.
Yeah, it was like yeah.
Which was the year that the DOI was signed. So, what's someone say? No, it was 1775 because the DOI was signed at that time.
Max, you were right. You were right.
My American U.S. history, I never paid attention. I'm so sorry.
Yeah, so they say that the DOI was signed in 1776. That's not necessarily true. That's when the letter got over the big pond, but it was signed in 1775.
Yes.
Major nonsense.
Anyway.
I can't with history. I hate it.
I read books, okay? I don't do history.
I hate U.S. history. I'll read world history though. That one's more interesting.
Entertaining as frick. Okay, so Civil War, and then prior to that, I think it was the original Brown Knights table that got us in this situation with the blood stuff. Let's talk about the blood magic, or what do they call it?
Blood crafts.
Blood crap. So
they didn't really explain it
at all.
I think it was like because it's like the magic is tied to your bloodline, so then you're cursed, but then you're like more powerful.
Yeah.
Because then you can call Aether without having to take it from other sources, but then that causes like your line to like have costs, which is why all the women in Bree's family die young.
Yeah, and so it's also the same with like the Legendborns. They die young too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's like a different cap for each one.
Yeah, and that's what was a little confusing to me, is because I wasn't quite sure the price, because the price was different for every person. And so that's why I was having a hard time like with the stakes with that.
See, that's what I don't understand, because like, who was, I think Vera, who was she calling on to?
She was trying to. Okay, so Vera was like one of the closer generation that she could find to bring her back to the first line. No, Vera. The aunt was.
That was the first.
No, Vera was the original.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But what confused me is, for the Legendborns, they started their blood craft because of Merlin's powers, right?
Yeah.
So that's what confuses me about Vera, because who was she calling on, or like, where'd she get it? Because was it someone responding to her like one daughter at a time or something?
We don't know. That's things up in the air right now. Like, what powers did it start from? Was it like your one soul wish, and like, the universe says, here you go? Or was it a witchcraft type of not nonsense, but a witch type of vibe that got us into the Arthurian bloodline? And just
that's why, like, I feel like it's still possible that they still get their powers from the line of Morgaine, perhaps.
Well, because the Merlins, like the original Merlin, he like had like a pact with a demon or something, and like that's why his bloodline is like half demon and like it's watered down. That
part had me rolling. Okay, the succubus or incubus.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, okay. Why are these characters like? I know that the other characters are 18. Like, why couldn't Bree be 18 or 17, turning 18?
Yeah, at least 17.
Do we think that this will be made clearer in another book, or do we think that this is like a failing of book one?
I feel like
it will be more clear because here's what I think. I think that we eventually in like books 2, hopefully book 2, maybe book 3, I think we're eventually going to get flashbacks of King Arthur and his round table and Merlin. Like, I think because we started to get like memory stuff with like Bree, and I feel like because Bree is of the line of Arthur, the reveal at the end, which we will get into in a bit, but like I feel like because of her root craft, she can then go all the way back to Arthur. And so I think we can see that, and like that will explain a lot of things, hopefully.
Dream sequences, like, so now that she has awakened, do you think that she's gonna get his dreams and try and like it's gonna like I don't know if you all have read Percy Jackson, but Percy Jackson, the dreams that the kids have when they get closer to danger kind of relates to what's gonna happen. So
wait, I think dreams they have closer to what?
So when danger's nearby, the dreams that they have kind of foreshadow what's gonna happen in battle. So I'm thinking that whatever dreams she is going to have of Arthur, it's going to like relate to what's happening in battle.
Well, Arthur is possessing her now. She can like talk to him.
Same with like.
I feel like we're gonna have some really fun dialogue in book 2. I feel like that's gonna be like a nice like thing.
If we're gonna have dialogue, I need another narrator because that's gonna get confusing in my head. Because I
feel like we kind of need another perspective.
Yeah.
At least like not a whole like the entire book, but maybe like
interludes
chapters.
Interludes. Give me interludes. I love an interlude.
Yeah.
Love them.
All right. So
what part are we at?
No, we're gonna say?
Oh, I was just asking what part are we discussing now?
Now we're getting a little close with Nick and Bree. We're getting further in the tournament. We're understanding what magic is, and we found out that Cell is half incubus. We're now in part 3. And she decides to GTFO and leave Nick. I didn't like that decision at all.
It felt very because here's the thing. It's like I was like on board. Like the insta love thing is here and there, but I feel like it was pretty well done in this instance where I was actually caring about their relationship, and like because they had such a strong kind of like connection, I was like in it with them. And then she just kind of abandoned him for the rest of the back half of the book and was like butting around with Cell. Like the first thing I was like, oh, this is going to be dramatic is when she didn't tell Nick about her powers and then like was only talking to Cell and then like was conversing more with Cell. And then I was like, I don't want to like Cell. But then I kind of had to because like they had chemistry.
Yeah,
So,
chemistry.
I mean, to me, like it felt this section of the book and this part felt like the most tropey. It felt the most like of the genre. It felt the most like condensed third act, like end of the third act, like what happens.
Yeah.
Complete shift to a new boy. And while I do think that their relationship was far more developed than in previous books that do this thing, I do feel like it felt very like necessary of the story that she needed to tell, as opposed to necessary for like Bree's development or the development of the plot, or like I don't know. It felt trapped a little bit by the genre itself.
Right. Because part 2 was 15 chapters. Then part 4 is 41, 2, so it's like under 20. So it's just like it felt
like, I don't want to invoke the big bag name of Twilight, but in book 2, Bella's with a new guy the whole time. Like, it's just a thing that happens in this genre. Like, it's just what it is.
Or we might pull a Sarah J. Maas and just add a whole new guy to the mix.
Yeah, kill your darlings. Just kill them all. Make new ones.
I was just getting so frustrated because at times I would sometimes like, Bree and Nick's relationship. And because even though it was all insta-lovey, I was like, okay, I can learn to love this. And then once I was getting invested in the relationship, we get this whole her dropping Nick thing. And then I would get so concerned because I'm like, are we supposed to like you guys together? And then I'd be like, you're kind of throwing the relationship away. Like, you're risking so much and you're not communicating with him. But at the same time, Nick is also kind of a wussy, so I don't mind. But also, her and Cell do have a lot of chemistry, so I don't mind either.
Well, I also think, like, Cell's so broken. Like, he's just, like, he's just a little sad boy. And so is Bree. Like, Bree's a sad girl. It, like, kind of makes sense for them to connect.
They're gonna be so angsty and depressed together.
Exactly. Like, and that's sometimes what you need. Like, Nick is literally golden child, like, throughout the whole book. And, like, for her to have to put up with that is really difficult. So for her to, like, move to Cell actually does kind of make sense to meet somebody who's, like, kind of where she is at a time.
Right.
Yeah, I was hating it because I was like, this makes sense, and I'm kind of here for it. And I was like, but I don't want to like it, but I did.
I don't like it.
And their mothers too.
That took me on a doozy. I was like, oh wait, it's all coming. Oh, I got you, sis. I saw it. I see it. I don't know how I feel about it, but okay.
It makes me so sad, like knowing that Cell was and his mother was so demonized all for like one whole shebang by like his dad, like Nick's dad.
Okay. The Lord Davis fucking pissed me off so much.
I was rooting for him. I was like, oh my god, you're the only white parent here who likes Bree.
But before we get to that, the affirmative action bullshit comment sent me. I was like, are we gonna let this slide? And then some bitch said nappy hair.
The racism was a lot to deal with.
Tainted blood. I said this triggering too much of my. No, I don't like it.
I was like theorizing so much because like he also mentioned, like Nick's dad mentioned about how one of the knights from the round table went to like Africa or something.
Yeah.
And then I was like, oh, maybe that's where Bree is from. Like she got her aether power. But then it didn't make sense because he didn't even make it to the round table. They literally kicked him out because he had a child with the girl there.
Watch Merlin and we'll discuss what
okay. I need to watch Merlin.
Like pissed me off so much because he was like the one white parent in the society who was like actually nice to Bree and was like defending Bree, but then like I hate it because it makes so much sense, but I hate it so much because he was like, it's fine for you to be here as long as you're not with Nick, as long as you are not tainting the blood. Oh, I fucking hated that.
I think what was so like what Tracy Deonn did with this book was so realistic to life. Like it was so there were so many layers. There were direct literal attacks. There were more sly nuanced attacks like that. There were personal reckonings that Bree had when she gets like demon blood in her hair and she talks about how she has to like now spend however much time washing it out. Unlike, obviously I have balding man hair, so I can't relate to that. But you know, like I think like there's so many layers built into this story that is just far more nuanced than other books I have been reading lately, and I find it to be lovely.
I forgot my point.
How much to unpack.
I got tipsy. Okay, we'll take questions now because we're pushing the time. So if you got
Pushing the time.
let us know.
Max said, "What is book 2 going to be called?" I think maybe Once Born.
I don't know.
I don't know. I feel like she might continue with like the Legendborn kind of type titles,
or like Legend something.
I don't know.
What? That's the
Legend
Fruitcraft.
I don't know. It's up in the air because we haven't even got like a confirmation date for book 2 in the fall.
Do you think that she'll use the title to like introduce a new aspect? Like, do we think it'll be entirely brand new? Like, Legendborn's a term we know, Root's a term we know. Will this one be like third sect of magic we have no idea about?
I wouldn't mind. Honestly, that's really refreshing if she did that, because I feel like a lot of books, like when they do a new sequel, like it's usually it relates to what we already know. But like the title completely different would be great.
It would get me very hyped.
Yeah, it would make.
What is this?
I have a question though.
Okay.
Personally, we all know I'm good at predicting things. I predicted the ending. So, did we see the ending coming, or was that just?
Okay. No, I did not see it coming. Like,
No.
And it was weird because I'm usually good at like picking up twists and things like that, but I thought like because the whole time they were like the line of Arthur is so because I was like, okay, so like we're just gonna have Nick be like the line of Arthur, blah blah blah. But then and I thought they were just gonna have Bree be more kind of like a antithesis to Arthur, and I thought like maybe they might have her be the line of Morgaine or something.
Yeah.
But then I was like, holy shit, she is of the line of Arthur, which is awesome. I mean, the circumstances was awful and should not have happened. Also, props to Tracy Deonn for writing that in a very non-triggering way.
I really enjoy like the verse like chapter part. Let me find it.
Yeah, because it like I had to go back and read it to make sure that what I was reading was what I thought was happening, and then it was like.
And I think it speaks to the Black experience again of like having the talk and having to watch 16 hours worth of Roots to be able to detect those tones and be like, oh, is going on?
Like this part of the book, I enjoyed so much.
Okay.
Well,
Chapter 54, when like she kind of turns it into verses instead.
Yeah.
I was like, wow, that's like.
To be honest, I did not in any way expect the ending. Like I wasn't thinking that was going to happen, but when it happened, I was like, oh fuck, that is so smart. Like that is just like so much of this book thematically is about lacking consent and control. Like so much about it is that. And then to see it come to this like pinnacle, I was just like, I'm done. I'm sold. You have me. Like, take me now. It was so impressive. I was just like, this is like writing craft more so than just a good story.
I think it's so great when that part when Arthur goes like, bow down to me, you bitches. And it's like, oh my god.
Yeah.
And she's like, no, I don't want you guys to bow down to me. I'm like, no, let them.
Oh my god. Oh,
I'm treating you like shit the entire time. You better let them.
English. Let them, bruise their knees for a minute, have them enjoy the pain, and then let them stand up. But I was in my head, I was giving every character, like every scene, like a song to go with. And for Cell, I think for her dad, it was Love by Black Eyed Peas. Where is the love?
That song is so good. Filipinos love that song.
And then for Cell, at first it was Daddy Issues by Trisha Paytas, but that ended real quickly because I genuinely thought he had daddy issues, but he doesn't. I mean, but now I can't figure out a song for him. So if anyone has song suggestions, let a gal know because I'm gonna make a for this book.
For Cell?
Yeah.
Let me check my Spotify. It's just way too much.
Does anybody else have questions for us?
Because the question is Arthur's going to be in Bree's head? I think yes, and I would love to see like internal dialogue. Like I would love to see Bree arguing with Arthur. That's like a favorite trope of mine, just like a fun device that I think authors can play with. Like,
oh my god,
especially if like other people can't hear. Like I think that'll be really interesting.
the part when he says like put the sword in my left hand, she's like, but I'm right-handed.
You are now. Okay.
Oh, she's like, all right.
We're gonna have an intimate scene in book 2, right? Not to be like, nope, take it back right now. Nope, take it back.
Arthur's gay confirmed.
I hope so.
No, I
hope so.
I need to see Will's partner. I just want to see them together and be adorable and be like calm, cool, and collected. Like his hurricane to his like ice storm. I want to see it. I'm living.
Also, wait, can we talk about the fact that Tracy Deonn actually understands what a fucking love triangle is? Because multiple sides, bitch. It's not a quarter. Like Cell likes Nick too.
That reveal was kind of funny to me.
It was funny, but I thought that they were brothers. So I was like,
Oh really? I kind of felt tension there though. I was like,
it gave me Mortal Instruments vibes.
Take it back right now.
Don't say that. Do not slander Legendborn like that.
Say it right now. Say it right now.
Psych.
Do not slander Legendborn. This is a well-constructed love triangle, okay?
Oh no, I genuinely thought, okay, so I've said this before. I've said that when a character starts talking, cool, calm, and collected, and like has plans for like not even before or after, they go and die. Your pages are numbered. So I was happily surprised that he ain't died.
William spinoff 2022. Let's get it going.
If he dies in book 2, oh,
I'll be pissed. But he is Cinna. He's Cinna from the Hunger Games. He might die. Like in my head, he is Cinna. So that's just.
I need a book with Cell's mother and with Bree's mom.
Yes,
it will be a good book.
At least like especially scenes of Bree's mom like learning the craft.
Yeah,
from her.
Because I don't want a trauma book.
Can we talk about how powerful Cell is? Because it consistently shook me the entire book that he was able to like make these like hellboard like constructions and hide things everywhere. Like he just seems like really powerful, like more than anybody. And then at the end, when he met the other Merlin who like easily overpowered him, that scared me.
Yeah,
it felt very anime. Like it felt very like that setup was just like, yes, like that's how this works.
Yeah,
I need to see Cell. I like he did have like a little redemption arc, but like we need to like see him struggle with his powers a little bit. I don't think he's gonna be traumatized from this experience. I think he's just gonna be like, oh, there's a new dynamic here. I think he's gonna be like magic shy a little bit in book 2.
I think it kind of did show a bit of that in the book, like when the Aether, Aether was not working. That freaked me out. I genuinely thought something bad was gonna happen.
Yeah, I thought.
Right?
Yeah, with the Hellfox.
Yeah, then they were sucking.
They were sucking the Aether from him.
No, I genuinely thought so. In most Korean folklore, there's like the Gambino. I can't remember what it's called, but it's like the fox.
Gumiho.
Yeah, so I was like, is Alice the villain here? Like, in here.
Sleeper villain Alice.
Your trail of thought.
Alice hatred confirmed.
This is such a crackpot theory.
Literally, crackpot theories with Tiana's thing now.
I think that's the perfect note to end this on.
She's not even Korean. She's Vietnamese.
Yes. Okay. So final thoughts. Let's just go like a big circle. We got 2 minutes. We got a minute remaining, but it's fine. Alphabetical order. Ace.
Final thoughts. Well, I rated this a 4 out of 5. I finished it like 24 hours ago, and I was punching my pillows and screaming in the air. So I'm still kind of processing, but I fully enjoyed it, and now I am now very intrigued with King Arthur and all that jazz. So I'm gonna watch Merlin after this.
Please. You can FaceTime me and we can watch it together, please.
I'm gonna stream it on Discord and we can all watch together.
Yes.
Yay.
Let me grab my. Here we go. I really, really enjoyed this. I also gave it a 4 out of 5 stars. Like it definitely lived up to the hype, in my opinion. And I just like really love the characters and the magic system. And I just like really am excited to see how the series develops, because I think like this was a really good first book. But I just know that just from what I'm witnessing, I think that Tracy Deonn is going to get better and better with every book that she writes. And so that just makes me really, really excited for books 2 and 3, because I feel like it's going to build so much on the foundation, especially because like book 1 is like a lot of times book 1s are hard because you have to set up a whole new world, that kind of stuff. And like we're now already like kind of familiar with the characters and the world and the magic system. So I just want to see her like let loose in book 2, because I know she can. And like, I'm just super hyped. And yeah, it was great.
Right. Yeah.
I gave it a 5 out of 5 stars. I think I was so blown away by so much of it, and maybe my expectations were too low, or maybe I was so entertained I didn't want to be any more critical, but like I really loved this. I thought it was such good YA. And I think like the biggest takeaway I have, especially after this conversation, is like we all loved this book. We all had very different opinions about many moments in this book. And I think that that's like indicative of how good it is. And I'm so excited for book 2.
Thinking about it now, I'm so sad it's over. I literally, last night I had a dream that I had King Arthur inside me, and I was like,
Phrasing.
I was like doing the Azula thing with like a mage flame in my hand, and I was like, bow down to me.
That sounds like a personal dream.
I can't. And then everyone was like, no, I'm not gonna bow down to you. And then like the flames just get bigger, and then eventually they do. I was so mad at my boyfriend the next morning because he was in my dream and he wasn't bowing down to me.
I quit.
Finish it off with your thoughts.
Okay, so this was our February book pick of the month for Black History Month in the U.S. It won the Coretta Scott King Award, and I think it was well deserved. Obviously, it goes into the Black experience, as a Black woman experience. We get to deal with grief. We get to have these interesting yet complex at times magic systems, and these interesting characters that I can't wait to see more of. And I think we're gonna get probably 2 more new ones in the next book. But I loved it. I'm giving it a 4.5 stars, purely because I was tripping for the trauma. I was not expecting the whipping part. I was like, oh, we going in deep. Okay. But we did. So thank you all for joining us today. We'll see you next Wine Wednesday. And don't forget to pick up the Harpy for our next book pick of the month. I don't have it yet, but I'll purchase it. And I am talking to someone about chapter triggers. So we will get you the chapter triggers as soon as possible in the Discord. The links to everything are down in the description box once this video is posted to my YouTube channel. And see us next month, Wine Wednesday.
And do not forget to subscribe to Tiana. Subscribe to her.
That's important. Do that.
Yes.
Do that.
What? Subscribe to Tiana.
Thank
Do
you.
it.
Subscribe to A's, Matthew, and Blake. Okay. I will catch you guys in the Discord. All right. Bye.
Bye.
Are we still?